Oh, good morning. Welcome back. Today is March 19th. This is the Thunder Eagles. This is my den. I know it's still weird, but we're kind of getting over it. Today we're going to be doing two math videos. One's a review. One is your next assignment. And then, don't worry, Faith Huntington, we are going to do an extra video later on today about how cross-canceling works. So if you're interested in that, feel free to tune in. There'll also be a video posted right around 12 of writing. We're going to go back to our report writing, okay? So real quick, let's do this. Let's get right to it, okay? So yesterday I gave you these 4 trimees right here, okay? And we're going to get to that in just a second to see how you did. But the first thing I want to know is, do you remember what we did yesterday? So can you zoom in a little bit over here? So the first thing I want to remind you is that our best friends from yesterday, just like in a lot of estimation, is benchmark numbers. Everybody say benchmark numbers. Benchmark numbers are our friends. In case of fractions, because fractions are pieces between 0 and 1, then 0, a half, and 1. When you get a little bit better, you're going to probably start noticing you can kind of use 3/4 as a benchmark. And when you really get good, you'll be able to use 1/4 as a benchmark. But for now, remember, 0, 1/2, and 1 are your buddies. So let's take a look at what we did yesterday. So we knew that 1/5 was really close to 0, so we rounded 8/5 to 8. We knew that 3 3/4 was really close to 1. So we rounded this up to 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. Coming over here, we knew that a half and a half is a whole, so we made that a whole, and then we just added the numbers for a nice estimate. Pretty easy stuff, okay? Then when we came down here, we asked ourselves, what is this actually saying? And repeat after me, 1/5 group of 20. And if you think about that, 1/5 is a very small amount. So if you have 20 cookies and you take 1/5 of it, you're going to get a very small amount. And of course, we showed that it would be around 4. It actually was 4, which is great. We also reversed that. We used the commutative property to understand that we could take a lot of stuff of a small group. So we could take 20 groups of 1/5, and then we could just add 1/5 20 times. We're going to see that in today's lesson when we solve it, okay? Over here, we took a fraction of a fraction. And the big thing that we need to remember about this is that when you take a fraction of a fraction, you are taking a piece of a piece. And when you take a piece of a piece, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So don't forget what Jeffrey and Andrew always do to me. They make my dessert smaller and smaller and smaller. And then just wait till you take a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, right? Because that's Angel Mora. He shows up. And then all of a sudden you got another person showing up, and there's all these 5th graders showing up, and you got like nothing. It gets smaller and smaller and smaller, like the world's shrinking guy. What about funky stuff? We also remembered that when it comes to funky stuff, we don't have to get all crazy and weird. We can really kind of, in a sense, ignore the fraction. And just remind yourself, I don't know what 2 1/3 groups maybe looks like, but I do know 2 groups of 50. I can draw that. A kindergartner can do that, so I know a 5th grader can too. And what about down here? We're not comfortable yet in drawing a 1/3 and a half and figuring out what all that is, but we do know that if I have 7 groups of 5, I still have 35. So remember, it all comes back to benchmark numbers, okay? Whatever you need to do, feel free to go to 0, a half, or 1, and you'll be in business. So let's look at what you did yesterday. So using this stuff and using what we did yesterday, let's tackle 1/3 of 5 just in an estimate, okay? So first of all, if I think about this, I've got 1/3 group of 5. So if I start with the 5 and I think about putting it into 3 groups, this is how much I'm going to give you. Now I can't divide 5 by 3 perfectly, but I can guess. I can guess that it's going to be about 1 or 2. I know it's not as high as 2, because if it was, I would need a box that holds 6. And I know it's not as low as 1, because if it was, I would need a box that only held 3. So I am going to guess 1 and a half. And I would say that if you guessed an answer between 1 and 2, you did a great job. I'll be checking the comments to see how you did. And let me know in the comments, how did you do? What was your answer? Did you go a little bit above 2? Did you go a little bit below 1? Did you actually just solve it? Don't do that yet. Or maybe you should. What about this one? What if I take 3/4 group of 7, right? Okay, same thing. What if I had 7 in a box? Well, what is this actually asking me to do this time? It's saying, I want you to take almost the whole amount. But if I draw that into fours, and I shade in the amount, 3/4 of 7, I can see it's almost all of 7. So again, I'm going to guess something around 5, okay? I think if you guess something between 4, 5, or 6, you're doing pretty good. If you guessed less than 3, I think that's a bad estimate, because we should know that 3/4 is more than half of 7, okay? And I know most of you will tell me the half of 7 is 3.5, right? So it should be bigger than that. And what about number 3? I don't know what 8/9 of a group of 40 is. I mean, what's that, like a box of Girl Scout cookies, or like, you know, Mr. Courtney showed up to nibble on it? I don't think so. But I can round that up to 2. And I can show that 2 groups of 40 is 80. And since I know that 8/9 is not a whole group, I can kind of take away some of that, which means I can make a better estimate than 80. I can actually say, you know what, I think my answer will be about maybe 78, 77, something a little lower. And what about number 4? How did you do on number 4? Hopefully, you decided to think about your benchmark numbers, right? And maybe you tried to draw some boxes. I saw some of you yesterday, I think it was Angel Flores. Good job, Angel, by the way, who sent me a picture, and he really tried to draw those out. So I thought that was really impressive. So shout out to the Flores man, okay? But for the rest of us, normal human beings, right, we probably thought of that as like 2 groups, okay? It's almost 2 groups. And the rest of us human beings, we probably thought of that as 6, okay? So if I have 2 cupcakes and I do that 6 times, I'm going to eat about 12 cupcakes. And I think that's a pretty good estimate there. So if you got anywhere near on those, you are righteous and sick, brah. Okay? And I will see you in the next video. I'm going to be posting that in just a minute. That's where we're actually going to be solving some of these. And I know some of you are going to tell me, yeah, Mr. Courtney, we did some of this in class. But remember, we're going to take it a little easy on these first couple of days. I expect you all to do the work. It's not hard to do. I'm only giving you a few assignments every day, but I expect you to put your work in the comments below. So take a picture of your work, put it in the comments below, and don't just do that. If you're advanced, what do I expect you to do? I expect you to comment on other people's work and try to figure out where the mistakes might be. Help each other, okay? Just because we're not at school doesn't mean we're still not a community of Thunder Eagles. All right, I will see you guys in the next video. Take care, bye.